1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, hello.
Of Rock Talk, back on the dial, traveling at a speed of 45 RPMs, where the vinyl will bring you to a new destination. On with the show. I'm Ferris Kennedy in the booth, and the man next to me, who was so anxiously waiting for the reunion of Thunderclap Newman.
Oh, wow.
Of 50 years.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. It never happened.
Oh, I think Thunderclap died. So.
But here's a little bit of trivia for Mr. Dr. Clarke, who's with me in the booth.
Go ahead.
Dr. Clarke, do you know which music artist did that project, for Thunderclap Newman? And it's an artist that he irritates you every now and then, but you respect him as a musician. And no, it's not Roger Waters.
Robert Fripp? No, I'm kidding. I respect him as a musician, but he's a dreadful person. Van Morrison?
Close. He irritates the living daylights out of you because sometimes you just want to pinch his ears.
Go ahead.
You don't know?
No.
Okay, well, before he did what he is currently known for, Thunderclap Newman was actually Pete Townshend's project.
Oh, there you go. That's right. You know what their big hit is?
In the air, something in the air,
yeah,
love.
You know, I can feel it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, something.
Not Air Supply, boys and girls.
Not Phil Collins.
Not Phil Collins, but it's The Air I Love. In the Air I Love, I believe. It's a good song. I think it's their only song.
I think so.
So, Ian, today is the show that you've been wanting to do against my better judgment. So,
oh my goodness, really?
Yeah. Go ahead, kind sir.
Okay, I'm talking with the Miami Dolphins. No, I'm talking about a phenomena today. One of our previous shows, we did kind of a cutout, I think, called Clarke's Corner, on this person. But she deserves a lot more attention because it's phenomenal. And that person, yeah, that's right, is Linda Ronstadt. No, that person is Taylor Swift. To begin, this comes from a November 22nd article written by Peggy Noonan, an op-ed headlines, "We should all give thanks to Taylor Swift." As I remember, Peggy Noonan was Ronald Reagan's speechwriter. Interesting gig she has. Quote, "Taylor Swift brings joy, jobs, and happy feet everywhere she goes." Sounds like Peggy Noonan. Quote, "She's the best thing in America. Everyone says she's huge. She's fabulous, but really, it's bigger than that. What she did this year is some kind of epic American story. Miss Taylor Swift is the person of the year. She's the best thing that's happened in America in all of 2023. That makes her a suitably international choice because when something good happens in America, boy, is it worldwide news. She has transformed the economy of every city she visits. The U.S. Travel Association reported this fall that while her concertgoers spend in and around each venue, quote, is on par with the Super Bowl, but it happens in 53 different nights in 20 locations over the course of 5 months. Downtowns across the country, uniquely battered by the pandemic, and the riots and demonstrations of 2020 are, while she is there, brought to life with an influx of visitors and local small business, unquote. She goes on a bit. Wherever she went, it was like the past 3 years didn't happen. When Miss Swift played Los Angeles for 6 sold-out nights in August, she brought in a reported $320 million locally, including 3,300 jobs and a $160 million increase in local earnings. Okay, now that's enough from Peggy. It's just, you have to sit down to read this stuff.
With Taylor Swift, though, all joking aside, is probably one of the rarest of pop phenomena.
Oh, yeah.
She is one who managed to completely cross over from country to mainstream. People forget that she started off in country, and her song "Teardrops of My Guitar" is a very good song. It's a very country song.
Yeah.
Again, she's the girl next door. Her father was for Merrill Lynch, and her mom worked for another competitive bank, which was she was actually a mutual fund marketing executive, and she's born out of Reading, Pennsylvania. So obviously there's a lot of family culture there. There's a lot of how do you call it there? Family upbringing, togetherness. Lightened and do it. So.
Well, to put it in perspective, in the mid-'60s, the Beatles were not just a cultural force, they were an economic force too. At their peak, their records and ticket sales were generating $650 a second in today's money. The dollar receipts from their overseas tours were even credited with temporarily saving the British government from a currency crisis. So I think there are many parallels between Taylor McCartney and Paul Swift. I'm sorry, John Swift and Taylor Lennon. Okay.
What about Taylor Starr?
Taylor Starr could be Ringo Swift.
or Taylor Harrison.
Ringo Swift I like.
Or George Swift. George Swift sounds like a country singer.
Actually, maybe there is one. Okay, Taylor Swift. Who is she? Well, born December 13th in 89, as my buddy said, in West Reading, Pennsylvania. Named after the singer James Taylor. Who knew that until I did this research? Spent her early years on a Christmas tree farm that her father had purchased from one of his clients. How Swiftian is that? A Christmas tree farm. Her father, as we know, was a stockbroker for Merrill Lynch by day. And at age 9, she became interested in musical theater, took acting, vocal lessons, listened to Shania Twain, liked Faith Hill a lot, and decided she had to go to Nashville. So off she went with Nashville with her mom. And had demo tapes of Dolly Parton and what's known now as the Chicks. And naturally, as the story goes, she didn't get anywhere. When she was 12, she met a guy named Ronnie Kremer, who's a footnote in history because he taught her how to write some songs. I want you to keep in mind, she's age 12. I don't know what you were doing at 12, but this is her. Her parents worked with a New York-based talent manager, and she did some modeling for Abercrombie and Fitch, and wrote an original song on a Maybelline compilation CD, which I imagine must be worth a few dollars now. At the age of 18, she was given an A&R contract at RCA. Her father transferred to Merrill Lynch, Nashville, when she was 14. Talk about a family affair, as my buddy said here. It's not as though this is not a rock story where it was rough and tumble and, something out of The Who or one of those working class things. This was a wealthy family that was ambitious and focused. Okay, she's in Nashville with songwriters, especially one named Liz Rose, who said, quote, I met her once a week for 2 hours, some of the easiest sessions I've ever done. Basically, I was just her editor. We would write about what happened that day. She has such a clear vision of what she's trying to say, and she'd come in with the most incredible hooks. Okay, again, she's 14. She became the youngest artist signed by Sony. As we speak about Taylor today, just keep in mind how many firsts she has, and it's spooky. And she said of that time, I genuinely felt that I was running out of time. I wanted to capture these years of my life on an album while they represented what I was going through. At 14, it's incredible. No one even keeps a diary anymore. Okay, she was noticed by an exec from DreamWorks, who was setting up an independent label called Big Machine Records. Her father purchased a 3% stake in the company for $120,000. Kennedy-esque, this family. They're very strategic. She's working on her first album. She wrote 3 of the songs and co-wrote the others. It was released in October 2006. And of course, the critics loved it. I'll tell you why, while we chat here, why I think the critics have a predilection for Taylor Swift. Anyway, she was country, as we've mentioned. It peaked at number 5 on the U.S. 200, Billboard 200. But that's an incredible achievement. The first album, number 5. And what she did was she promoted the album all over the country, all right? And she tapped into what was an unknown market of teenage girls who listened to country music. That's important, so I'm going to repeat it. Unknown market of teenage girls who listen to country music. Throughout her career, we're going to get more and more of this. She discovers stuff that all the clever lads at RCA and Sony, whatever, CBS, didn't pick up on. And she does it intuitively. That's what's just eerie. She released 2 EPs, I guess when people still released EPs. In 2007 and 8, she opening act for George Strait, Brad Paisley, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, and she won a lot of awards. I'm not going to, list all her awards, but it would break down a whole shelving unit. So I'm just going to hold it there before we get to 2008. And I asked myself, what the hell is going on here? Well, I think it's a confluence of events. Number one, she has a strong songwriting talent. 2, she has a financially secure family that is backing her each step of the way, picking up the tabs. 3, she has a pleasing physical disposition and a cheery, upbeat personality. And 4, somehow, she speaks for women, not necessarily young women, and we'll get to that, at this time in our history of the planet. So who are her fans? This one blew me away. It's important. 45% of her fans are millennials, born between 1981 and 96. So people now, with the age of like 27 to 42 roughly. That I didn't know. That seemed old to me, somebody in their late 30s with Taylor Swift. But hey, 23% are baby boomers, 21 are Gen Xers, born between 65 and 80. Oh, man. And just 11% are members of Gen Z, those 26 and under. So that's a surprise. It's a pretty far out mix. But when you consider the Beatles benefited from the baby boom, which gave them a larger audience of young fans than Sinatra and Presley, a lot of young girls, and they formed Beatlemania. When you look at those old pictures of Beatlemania, you see one guy for about 400 girls screaming, and the guy's looking really scared. Swift doesn't have that. She has Swifties, young girls who hang on to every syllable, but they're in the vast minority. That makes her success even more astounding. And keep in mind, at this point, she's a celebrated country artist, a new country artist, you might call it. So I'm not going to give you the exact dates and occurrences. I find that kind of stuff boring. This is not a legal brief. What I'm trying to do is build up a composite portrait, so to speak, and maybe somewhat of an explanation of the incredible rise in her fortunes. It's 2008, and she is 19 years old. Second album, Fierceless, releases in November. Critics, of course, love it. 5 singles released. The first goes to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. It is a first country song on the Billboard Pop charts. Extremely seminal moment in Taylor Swift's career. All 5 singles were hot country hits, as they call them. In the U.S., the Fearless Tour brings in $63 million. 2009, of course, Rolling Stone magazine wrote, in a mere 4 years, the 20-year-old Nashville firecracker has put her name on 3 dozen or so of the smartest songs released by anyone in pop, rock, or country. I'll get back to Rolling Stone and their lavish praise of Taylor Swift later on. There's this highly suspect. And keep in mind, though, this is important, she is, in quotes, still a country artist at this time. At 2011, she won Best Country Album. Oh, and this is interesting. Rolling Stone named her at that time among its 50 best female artists of all time. And what a stupid retrograde category, female artist. How about just artist? Like, are these guys stuck in a different, I don't know, millennia? Like, female artist? Even in Hollywood, they no longer use the term, actress. It's an actor. So, she had another tour, the Speak Now tour, from February 2011 to March 2012, and it grossed over $123 million. She did Hunger Games soundtrack, very good career move. In 2012, she released one, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Again, which was a big single. I do remember that one.
Yeah, the NHL used that one when they had the NHLPA.
Oh, yeah?
The NHL during the strike, saying we are never, ever getting back together.
And of course, she made royalties from that.
I would assume so.
You know what I mean? So she grossed over $150 million on that tour. It's the highest grossing country tour ever. But again, is it country music? Maybe. March 2014, Swift began living in New York City. On her 5th album, 1989. She promoted the album extensively, including inviting fans to secret album listening sessions. Taylor Swift has to be one of the hardest working people in pop music. She should get the Paul McCartney Award for having an iron constitution, although McCartney's about 3 times her age. The next bit I'm going to talk about shows this person has guts. In November 2014, she removed her entire catalog from Spotify. arguing that the streaming company's ad-supported free service undermined the premium service, which provides higher royalties for songwriters. In 2015, the same year, she criticized Apple Music for not offering royalties to artists during the streaming service's free 3-month trial period. Good for her, and stated that she would pull 1989 from the catalog. The following day, Apple announced that it would pay artists during the free trial period. Well, surprise, surprise. And Swift agreed to let 1989 on their streaming service. Okay, she has the impact and the stature and status to do this, okay? Rather than, I guess, Neil Young, who seems to stand up against everything, what other artist would do that at the peak of their career? So she could have lost a lot. Maybe she did. But she might have known going into it, because of her fame, she might win in the war, even if she lost the battle. So good on her. She embarked on a Reputation tour, which I remember, in 2018, highest grossing North American concert tour in history, 245 million revenue. In November 2018, she signed a new deal with Universal Music Group. Swift said the contract included provision for her to maintain ownership of her masters. Boy, important. In addition, in the event that Universal sold any part of its stake in Spotify, it agreed to distribute non-recoupable portions of the proceeds. They're not going to agree to that unless you hold their feet to the fire. Vox called it a huge commitment from Universal, which was, quote, far from assured until Swift intervened. So in other words, she made millions of dollars for other artists. Okay, another timeout here, because this represents sophisticated financial bargaining. She doesn't have to know the intricacies of the world, but she has to know how to hire the right people. This is a very rare occurrence for a pop artist because they're often very young when they start out and they sign dopey contracts. And the highway is littered with pop stars who made terrible deals. Hello, John Fogerty. I'm guessing her Merrill Lynch father had help in this somewhere along the line. She released her 7th album, August 2019, Lava. While promoting the album, she became involved in a dispute with the manager everybody knows, Scooter Braun, and Big Machine over the purchase of the masters of her back catalog. And Swift said she had been trying to buy the masters, but Big Machine would only allow her to do so if she exchanged one new album for each older one under a new contract, which she refused to sign. Swift began re-recording her back catalog in November 2020. Again, Taylor, good on you. Following the Masters dispute, Swift released re-recordings of her first 6 studio albums, beginning with Fearless. I mean, this doesn't happen. You can't. You have to be extremely popular to pull this off. Her 10th studio album, Midnights, was released October 2022. It was kind of chill-out music, and of course Rolling Stone dubbed it an instant classic. Rolling Stone magazine, I think, is so desperate to appear hip that they often go overboard in praising any artist under 80. Okay? That's just the way they are. They just kind of, no, we're hip. No, babe, you're not. You still use the term like female record or female performer. You're not hip. And I'm sure you've heard about her Eras tour. It will make more than $1 billion through ticket sales, merchandising, and will surpass Elton John's record of $853 million for his Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour. And she's announced she intends to take proceeds from the tour and buy the country of Portugal. I'm kidding. Okay, enough already. She's destroyed the playbook. I think it's a combination of luck, talent, family, ambition, intelligence, honesty, guts, personality, and appearance. Very rare indeed. She is wonderful. Now my buddy Kennedy here is going to run down some of her discography in more detail.
That's correct. So with the discography, and obviously good on accomplishment of her for the Eras tour of hitting $1 billion. Elton John took him 50 years to get $863 million, I believe, to get that number. Now with Taylor, as you know, along with success came a pretty interesting headline back in the day, and it was in the form of the infamous appearance at the 2009 MTV Music Video Awards with her acceptance speech, which was rudely interrupted by Kanye West, who bursted on stage to declare that Swift's rival Beyonce deserved the award more than her. Now, I liked the way she handled it. I thought that she just, stood back, let him
kill himself.
Let him ruin his career.
Let him run the line out, yeah.
Let him run the line out, and at the end of the day, no, Kanye, you were wrong. the critics have spoken. Taylor had a better album than Beyonce, and move on. Like, I just wish people would accept defeat. You lost. Move on. And I don't think even Beyonce wanted you to be an advocate for her. She's probably like, what are you doing?
No, you saw the clip. She is sinking in her chair.
Exactly. But let's go down with the ratings of her albums. And this girl has done quite a few albums, including the Taylor's version. And when you get to that point of Taylor's version, it's kind of similar to whenever Paul McCartney re-released Let It Be Naked, right? Where he removed all the Phil Spector stuff. I think this is more when she had her fallout with Big Machine and then went to Universal Records. She started taking back the stuff that she written. So we'll start off with her first one. And I got the star ratings off of allmusic.com of her album. So 2006, the first album, self-titled Taylor Swift country album. You know what? For your first album to get 3.5 out of 5 stars, I think you're starting off okay. And country sometimes can be a tough sell for the people in the pop or rock section. But in country, when you're dedicated to country, you are country. Let's get with Fearless, which is kind of like that country pop crossover, right? Sure. That got a 5-star. And it wound up having considerable legs, not only in the US, where it racked up 6 platinum singles on strength of the top 10 hits like Love Story and You Belong With Me, but through the world, performing particularly well in the UK, over here in Canada, and Australia. So that got a 5. Then 2010, she had the album Speak Now. That got a 4 out of 5. Okay, so she went down a shot. Big deal. That still delivered almost 2 years later, and the success moved Swift into a stratosphere of superstardom. Her popularity has just increased over the next 3 albums when you count Red, 1989, and Reputation, but we'll get to that. Considering Speak Now was a 3rd album, which was released in 2012, another massive first week smash, hit singles like Mine and Mean, which won 2 Grammy Awards. Let's not forget that she also had the World Tour Live Speak Now in 2011 that just kind of gained more massive popularity. So now we're moving on to Red. Went to a 5-star.
What year was Red?
Red was 2012.
2012. So
2012. She started in 06. Was it 06? Yeah, first one 06. Now we're 6 years later. And that one again shattered expectations by selling over 1 million copies in the first week. So again, 1 million copies in its first week. That's a notable achievement that was obviously impressive in an era of declining sales. But once again, Swift's albums had legs. It was certified platinum not once, not twice, not thrice, 4 times. What did she release after that? Well, let's just shake it off in 2014 and go with 1989. That was designed as her first documented official pop album. So now you got to realize Taylor Swift, Fearless, Speak Now, Red, those are considered country crossovers. Now we're going to pop. Well, holy cow, you want to add more? Great. She did a good job in 1989 with the song Shake It Off. That's the big hit. It did really well. She even did the song Bad Blood with Bad Blood. And then she had a duet with Zayn, which is I Don't Want to Live Forever, which was for the soundtrack of 50 Shades Darker. That album there of 1989, believe it or not, Ian, guess what kind of star rating it got?
4.
Yeah, 3.5.
Okay.
You're close.
Yeah.
So then after that, in 2017, she released the album Reputation. Unfortunately, Reputation got a 3-star.
So Reputation didn't have a great reputation.
It did not have a good reputation, and it had the one-hit single, Look What You Made Me Do. But then again, it still debuted at a number 1, but still got 3.5 stars. So I guess the critics and the Swifties said, nah, we're not listening to critics. We're Swifties. We're loyal. We'll call it a day.
Sure.
So after that, she released the album called Lover. It was a 4. So she went from Reputation got a 3, Lover got a 4.
Okay.
And then she decided to release Folklore in 2019, which also had a companion album called Evermore. And the beauty about the Folklore album is that songs in collaboration with Aaron Dessner of The National, Bon Iver, and longtime Swiftie associate Jack Antonoff contributed.
And
this album was
he's everywhere, right?
Oh, okay, you know it.
Yeah, he's everywhere. She went to his wedding and gave a speech. Like, they're buds.
So he was on there to help her, and that album went straight to the top of the Billboard 200.
So there's 2, like, what was the term you used? Were 2 at once? She said in that album, you said there was like
a companion. So it's
Okay,
kind of
got
like
it.
GNR, Use Your Illusion 1 and Use Your Illusion 2.
Oh, I got you.
That's
Okay.
how they did it. So Folklore complemented Evermore, which again was
All right.
released 5 months later, featuring many of the same collaborations and its predecessors. The Grammy-nominated Evermore debuted at number 1 upon its December 11th, 2020 release. Isn't that insane? And that album there, so Folklore got a 4, Evermore got a 4. Then she released Fearless, Taylor's version, where she had new versions contain cameos of with Kobe Kaye, Keith Urban, and Maren Morris, again, all country artists. That album, Ian, got a big fat 3. Okay, so now we're coming into Red, Taylor's version. Again, this one here, she took it, restripped it, and she did duets with Phoebe Bridgers, Chris Stapleton, and Ed Sheeran. That's some pretty good company.
Yeah, I'd say so.
3.5. The album Midnights that you spoke about, that one got a 4. And then she released Speak Now, Taylor's version, which just arrived in 2023. And she has 6 additional songs that were written, but were not included on the original 2010 LP. And she's got appearances from Fall Out Boy and Paramore's Hayley Williams, which are they're also cited for Speak Now as an influence of that album. And here's that one got a 4, Speak Now. And now the last album that she released, a couple of weeks ago, 1989 Taylor's version, it's already got a 4.5.
Like she's re-releasing old stuff that's charting. Like it's people are desperate for anything she does. She could sneeze to go to number 1. It's a very bizarre phenomenon. And what I try to get across in the little talk I gave is that it's not just young girls. It's not Beatlemania. There's something else going on. Some of these dedicated fans are in their 30s. So I don't know.
Listen, her music is okay. I like the girl as an artist. Please stay away from the NFL. Please. Just no. And you're not taking Carrie Underwood's spot. I know the Swifties want her to sing the Sunday Night Football song, which, it started off with Pink in 2006. Then the year after, it went to Faith Hill all the way up until about 2013. And it's been Carrie Underwood that has been doing it ever since, which she gets, believe it or not, $1 million a week to do that from the NFL.
Oh, I'd sing it for $1 million a week.
Yeah. So listen here, Swifties. No, Taylor's not going to take that. It belongs to Carrie Underwood, who's actually country. And let's just face it, America likes their country music. I believe they do.
We'll see what happens.
And as a Dolphins fan, I don't want to see her at any Dolphins-Chiefs game because I don't want the TV focusing on her. I like to watch the game. Now, put that aside, her music is good. Do I have one of her albums? Yes, I do. I have it on vinyl, like I just said. Am I looking for a couple more? Yeah, if they come across my Discogs cart, I'll take a gander. You could tell she's a good person, a good individual, and I think I don't know if she's done any charity stuff. She may have.
Probably, yeah.
Which, I don't think they highlight enough of, because I'm pretty sure she's a big animal lover, turtles at sea, all that stuff. Listen, she's probably the best role model for young teenage girls.
I think it's true, and the important thing to notice too is that up to this time, when a lot of female artists in rock and roll tried to come across as really tough chicks, right? The leather, the Joan Jett thing.
Yeah, the Joan Jett thing.
The Joan Jett thing, and no, she just comes across what they used to call geek chic. It's totally different. It's a 180. I thought she's like the Julie Andrews of rock, and it's working. People are they want something new. They don't want the tough chick and the motorcycle and black leather, the Susie Quattro thing. They want something else.
Well, the best quote I could use was from a radio announcer on Hot 899 by Scott Rush. Him and I had a conversation regarding back in the days when he had all these, like Britney Spears and the Aguileras. And he had a young daughter, and obviously she's older now, but at the time, he respected and appreciated more Hilary Duff, because Hilary Duff would go on stage performing in jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah, that's true.
Normal clothing wear. Taylor Swift does jeans and a t-shirt, and she'll even wear like a dress, she'll dress up very classy, very elegant.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is a key importance in today's society, is that, you still want to keep people homely, you want to keep them humble, and good for her.
She's a good role model.
I think she's a very good role model, and like I said, for young kids, young girls that need someone to look up to, I don't have an issue with them looking up to Taylor Swift. Nah,
Well,
no problem.
hopefully you guys have learned something doing in our little chat here about one of the most outstanding artists of the early part of the 21st century. If you have any thoughts, considerations on it, send us a email, seriousrocktalk@yahoo.com, and we'll get back to you. And thanks very much. And so this is Ian Clarke bidding you adieu.
And I'm the man they call Kennedy, and I'm saying farewell.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, hello.
You've been listening to the Masters of Rock Talk podcast.